For years, longer than their adoring fans care to remember, SSC Napoli have been the also-rans of Italian football. But this term, they look set to shrug off that unwanted tag and claim their first Scudetto in 33 years, since a certain Diego Maradona terrorized up and down the Italian peninsula. So, what on earth is going on in Naples? And how have Napoli come to dominate the league this season? Stay with us to find out. To understand a club like Napoli, we first have to travel back in time. Before the 1980s, Napoli were a club viewed by the rich snobs in the north as little more than a regional outfit. A couple of Coppa Italia wins in 1962 and 1976 were literally all their loyal fanbase had to cling on to. That all changed on July 5th, 1984, as the club confirmed the signing of one of the greatest players to ever lace up a pair of boots, the aforementioned Diego Maradona. And the Argentinian's influence on the club and the city was instant. Before Maradona, Serie A was dominated by the bigger, more fashionable clubs in the north. Roma, Juventus, and both Milan clubs were regularly battling between themselves for the big honours. Maradona's Napoli gatecrashed the party in 1986-87 to shatter the status quo, as the diminutive magician led the Neapolitans to their first ever league title. More success followed in the coming seasons, as the unstylish club from Italy's Mezzogiorno region to the double in the same season, with UEFA Club glory following a couple of years later. The Naples outfit added another Serie A title in the 1990-91 season, and although they have failed to win the title since, the team of the late 1980s and early 90s did enough to convince fans of the game throughout Italy, and indeed on the continent, that Napoli were a club who were more or less here to stay. Let's talk more modern times now. Napoli are one of the teams who are always there and thereabouts when it comes to Serie A. The sort of team who opposing fans dread playing against because even when they were going through a tricky spell, they can still beat anyone on their day. Since the days of Maradona, Napoli have had some of the heaviest hitters of Italian football in their dugout, the likes of Claudio Ranieri, who found global fame in 2016 as he guided the unappealing Leicester City to England's Premier League title, as well as Giovanni Trapattoni, Rafael Benitez, and serial winner Carlo Ancelotti have all called Naples home over the years. But none of them have managed to replicate Alberto Bigon's 1990 Serie A success. They've all added to the lore that Napoli continue to carry. However, a certain grittiness which warns opposing fans and players that whatever happens, they know they will be in for a game. There was a brief interruption as Napoli were relegated in 1998, but they bounced back in 2000, only to be sent straight back down again. Then they suffered the ignominy of being relegated to Serie C in 2004 after declaring bankruptcy. Of course, they've recovered and have been a mainstay in Serie A since 2007. Although they haven't appeared in the Champions League as much as they would like over the last few years, they still carry the same mystique as they do in Serie A. Most of Europe's more renowned teams will often have one eye on Napoli whenever the draw comes around, hoping they will be spared a trip to Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, touchingly renamed after Diego sadly passed away at the end of 2020. While they can certainly give anyone a game on their day, they haven't won their domestic title since more than 3 decades at this point. But that could all be about to change. So what's going on in Naples this season? Well, simply put, Napoli have stormed Serie A. Their nearest rivals, Inter Milan, sit a long way off in second, and it appears that it will just be a matter of time until Luciano Spalletti's men are crowned kings of Italy. Spalletti himself deserves a lot of praise. The 63-year-old former Roma and Inter Milan manager has had somewhat of a modest coaching career to date, but this season has all seemed to click for him. He was brought in back in the summer of 2021 by club president Aurelio De Laurentiis, who decided a change was needed as Gennaro Gattuso failed in his bid to bring Champions League football back to Naples. De Laurentiis himself deserved a lot of credit for this appointment. His hands-off approach is allowing Spalletti and his Napoli team to flourish. Spalletti isn't everyone's cup of tea, however. He's aggressive to the point of fault and embodies that stereotypical dramatic image conjured up when we all think of Italian men of a certain age. He has, though, used his influence to implement an attractive brand of football, which some would argue hasn't been seen in Naples since the mid-90s under Marcello Lippi. Of course, Spalletti counts Lippi as one of his biggest influences, and that is clear as day for all to see. Spalletti, who has also won the league in Russia with Zenit St. Petersburg, is a stickler for details, and his meticulous nature is shining through this year, as he wins tactical battle after tactical battle against his Serie A counterparts. He is also pretty shrewd when it comes to bringing in the right players, which brings us nicely onto our next point. Stay with us as we talk Napoli's transfer strategy. Few Napoli fans would have been rushing out to get Kim Min-jae's name on the back of their shirt last summer, but the Korean centre-back has been an absolute colossus. Signed as a direct replacement for Kalidou Koulibaly, who has arguably stunk the house out at Chelsea this term, Kim has been a revelation. He has shored up Napoli's backline and has been the heart of the defence unit, which has conceded far fewer goals than in previous seasons. At €18 million, Kim costs just a fraction of what other teams around Europe spent on centre-backs last summer. Napoli's rivals Juventus shelled out almost 3 times that amount for Gleason Bremer. I know who I would rather have marshalling my defence. The summer before last, eyebrows were raised as Spalletti brought in Juan Jesus on a 2-season loan. To say that signing has paid off would be an understatement. Although he hasn't featured as much this season, the Brazilian is a testament to Spalletti's cunning ability to spot a deal. He has proven his shrewdness with the majority of his signings over the past couple of summers, to be fair. And talking about shrewd deals, one of the signings of the season, not just in Italy but on the entire continent of Europe, and by proxy, the world, has to be Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. The Georgian trickster has been an absolute menace since making the first move from little-known Dynamo Batumi in his native Georgia last summer. He was previously with Rubin Kazan, but due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, his contract was cancelled with the blessing of FIFA. And what a signing he has been at just €12 million. Calmness personified, the winger has the ability to make defenders look silly. Just ask Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold. Close control and an eye for a pass are the order of the day for the man affectionately christened Kvaradona by the Naples faithful. There is a problem for Napoli though. The Georgian is so good he's attracting admiring glances from teams across Europe. Teams who sadly for Napoli have offers which extend far deeper than those of their owners. Should they manage to hold on to a player who is easily their best signing in years, then there could be plenty of success on the horizon for the citizens of Naples. The impact he's having right now is drawing parallels to Diego Maradona, hence the nickname, and we all know what he did for the men in Sky Blue. If they are forced to sell, then he would command a pretty penny, so whatever happens regarding the Georgian's future, Napoli are in a solid position. It's not just down to Kvaratskhelia though, is it? Nope. Whilst the former Rubin Kazan man is doing his best impression of a certain pint-sized Argentinian who graced the southern Italian city more than 50 years ago, he's not had to do it all himself. During the summer of 2021, Victor Osimhen waltzed through the doors to a fair amount of fanfare. The Nigerian international cost a whopping €70 million, which represented somewhat of a gamble for a 22-year-old playing in France. It's safe to say that the gamble paid off, however, as Osimhen has been a revelation. Double figures in the league in his 3 campaigns so far, Osimhen could and probably will finish the season with more than 20 league goals for the first time in his career. Like an Olympic archer, he just keeps hitting the target. And the Napoli faithful will be hoping that this scintillating form will carry on into the foreseeable future. And finally, a word on Spalletti's ruthlessness. Some managers are often accused of holding on to players far past their sell-by dates. One in particular is Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, who often fails to offload players who aren't doing it for him anymore. I mean, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, anyone? Luciano Spalletti cannot be accused of this. In the summer of 2022, the Napoli chief shipped out no fewer than 5 first-team members. Club legends Lorenzo Insigne and Dries Mertens both departed on free transfers, whilst Kalidou Koulibaly ended years of speculation by finally heading off to the Premier League in Chelsea. Fabian Ruiz, one of the club's more dependable players over the past few seasons, was also deemed surplus to requirements, whilst long-term keeper David Ospina went riding off into the Arabian sunset for one last payday with Al Nassr. There is something to be said for this approach. Many managers are simply too scared to upset the balance of a changing room. One of the best examples of a manager who acted in this manner was Alex Ferguson at Manchester United back in the mid-90s. Yes, he got incredibly lucky with the class of '92, as they came to be known, but he had no problems giving legends of the club such as Paul Ince, Mark Hughes and Andrei Kanchelskis their marching orders to make way for the new blood. For echoing this, Luciano Spalletti should be commended. As usual, thanks for tuning in today, and remember to swing by again next time for some more fun and games. And why not like, share and subscribe so you don't miss out on more great videos coming soon.